Thai military attacks on Cambodia have entered their third week, with the number of displaced civilians passing 600,000. Saofal Nisai spoke about the humanitarian crisis to UNICEF Cambodia representative Will Parks. Saofal Nisai: what challenges are humanitarian organizations facing in delivering aid, particularly given ongoing security threats? Has UNICEF been able to access all affected areas? Will Parks: humanitarian organizations are operating in a highly constrained environment. Ongoing hostilities have restricted movement, forced the closure of health facilities, and limited access to some displacement sites, particularly those closer to the border. In addition, pre-positioned supplies such as children's learning materials cannot be distributed because they are in areas experiencing bombardment. Security risks, damaged infrastructure, and sudden population movements make needs assessments and aid delivery extremely challenging. Access remains fluid and subject to security conditions. While some areas remain difficult to reach, UNICEF has been able to access many affected locations by working closely with government counterparts and partners. UNICEF is supporting wash supplies, mobile health outreach, nutrition screening, vaccination, education, maternal and child health services, and child protection interventions, particularly in safer displacement sites, while supporting health facilities outside displacement areas. Continued coordination through the Humanitarian Response Forum and sustained humanitarian access are critical to scaling up the response and preventing further deterioration of conditions for displaced children and families. Saofal Nisai: if this conflict continues for weeks or months, what are the long-term consequences for displaced people, especially the health risks you are monitoring in displacement centers, such as disease outbreaks, malnutrition, and mental health? Will Parks: if the conflict continues, health risks for displaced populations will rise sharply, especially for children, pregnant women, older people, and those with pre-existing conditions. Overcrowded displacement sites with limited access to clean water, sanitation, and essential health services increase the risk of disease outbreaks, including diarrhea, respiratory infections, vaccine-preventable diseases, and waterborne illnesses. With local health facilities closed, access to routine health care, immunization, and maternal and child health services is fragile and could deteriorate further. Prolonged displacement also raises the risk of malnutrition, particularly among infants and children under 5. Some children already have inadequate access to nutritious food, and more are at risk of acute malnutrition. Pregnant and lactating women are also facing insufficient food intake. Without access to foods that provide adequate energy, protein, vitamins, and minerals, pregnancy outcomes may be affected. Mental health impacts are already visible and are expected to intensify. Children and adults are experiencing fear, prolonged uncertainty, repeated displacement, loss of homes and assets, and family separation. Without sustained psychosocial support and safe spaces for play, learning, and protection, these impacts can have long-term consequences. In overcrowded environments, children are at heightened risk of various forms of violence. UNICEF and its partners are actively monitoring health, nutrition, protection risks, and psychosocial needs while scaling up preventative measures to avoid a secondary public health crisis. Key actions include WASH, water, sanitation, and hygiene. UNICEF is providing essential wash supplies such as soap, laundry powder, water filters, water containers, and hygiene kits, including sanitary pads, alongside hygiene promotion campaigns. New wells are being installed and sanitation facilities are being rehabilitated or improved at displacement sites, ensuring accessibility for women, men, and people with disabilities. Education. To minimize disruption to learning, UNICEF is distributing home learning packages and early childhood development kits for children of all ages. Support is being provided to the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport to establish temporary preschools at displacement sites. Additional learning materials are being printed and distributed, and free Wi-Fi stations are being installed so older children can access digital platforms, including the ministry's primary learning program. These efforts aim to maintain continuity of education, prevent long-term learning gaps, and ensure children continue developing essential skills despite ongoing disruption. Health and nutrition. Mobile health teams are delivering essential primary health care, including vaccinations, maternal and child health services, and referrals. Nutrition screening and treatment for acute malnutrition among children under 5 are being planned with the National Nutrition Program in coordination with sub-national health systems. First aid supplies are also being distributed to meet immediate medical needs. Child protection. UNICEF is supporting the Ministry of Social Affairs, Veterans, and Youth Rehabilitation to provide immediate psychosocial support through child-friendly spaces where children can access safe environments for play, learning, and emotional support. Psychosocial first aid is being provided by trained social workers and monks, alongside screening, counseling, and case management services for at-risk children. Family tracing and verification help reunite separated children with caregivers, while social workers are being trained to strengthen protection risk screening, counseling, and case management services. Social protection. UNICEF and the World Food Program are supporting the National Social Assistance Fund to implement the Social Assistance Family Package in evacuation sites. This ensures continuity of cash transfers with relaxed conditionality, enabling affected families to meet basic needs during displacement. UNICEF's response focuses on life-saving services and protection, ensuring that displaced children and families can access essential care, education, and support during this crisis. Saufal Nisai. We have seen makeshift classrooms in some displacement centers, with many children out of school. What are the medium-term educational impacts if this continues? Will Parks. If displacement and school closures continue, children face significant medium-term educational setbacks, including learning loss, reduced literacy and numeracy skills, and limited social and cognitive development. To mitigate these impacts, UNICEF is distributing home learning packages and early childhood development kits for children of all ages. Support is being provided to the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport to establish temporary preschools at displacement sites. Additional learning materials are being printed and distributed, and free Wi-Fi stations are being installed so older children can access digital platforms, including the ministry's primary learning program. These efforts aim to maintain continuity of education, prevent long-term learning gaps, and ensure children continue developing essential skills despite ongoing disruption. Saufal Nisai. Children are hearing fighter jets and artillery for the first time in their lives. What psychological trauma are you observing, and what support is being provided? Many displaced children are experiencing psychological trauma for the first time, including fear, anxiety, nightmares, and signs of acute stress. Prolonged exposure to violence and uncertainty can lead to longer-term mental health challenges, including depression, post-traumatic stress, and behavioral changes. UNICEF and its partners are supporting the Ministry of Social Affairs, Veterans, and Youth Rehabilitation to provide immediate psychosocial support through child-friendly spaces where children can access safe environments for play, learning, and emotional support. Psychosocial first aid is being provided by trained social workers and monks, alongside screening, counseling, and case management services for at-risk children. Family tracing and verification help reunite separated children with caregivers, while social workers are being trained to strengthen protection risk screening, counseling, and case management services.